Hello everyone, and welcome to the grand finale of the Phoenix Wright Trilogy. And I mean it this time. I don't care if this video is 2 hours long, if it's 3 hours long, it's ending. Here and now. This is it. We're here at the very final moments of the final case in the final game of the trilogy. It's bittersweet. It really is. So, with the matter of Dahlia Hawthorne done and over with, there's a matter of uncovering who truly killed Misty Faye. And I can't believe it, but it's really looking like the killer is Godot. I know, it's shocking. It's freaking me out. And for some reason, Maya is trying to protect him in her testimony. Now she's dragging Pearls into this, and I want to see how, so without further ado, let's get going here. Pearlie was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first, and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie?
That's my little cousin, Pearl Faye.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on! Pearlie would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be.
I don't know, Maya. Pearl has lied many, many times. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath.
Ha!
The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godot. Let's just move on to the cross-examination. If the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright? Let's get this cross-examination started. Oh, boy. After the incident, let's do this.
Pearlie was also stuck on the inner temple side that night.
So where did you think Pearl slept that night?
In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place? It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya.
She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense.
Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it, so she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Noonan.
The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone.
She searched the entire inner temple side, end to end.
Well, you see, Pearlie gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there weren't that many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times.
The inner temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room. Sorry about that cut, something came up. We're good now.
And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
There's a storage shack too. Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack.
The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room.
Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge.
What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
Oh, well, Pearlie said that she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl. All alone like that.
Well, we know that she had at least one friend in the sacred cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock.
She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls.
What happened after the bridge was finally fixed? That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time.
So it was your first time at the Inner Temple side, Mr. Godot.
That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question?
Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touché, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godot?
Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited here. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass.
So you had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh?
Ha! You want to say something that's right?
In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. When I cross-examine Maya, that is. Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple side, right?
Yes. Then Mr. Godot...
Hold on now. If that was his first time ever visiting that mountain, how could he have found pearls first? He had no idea about any of the lay of the land. How would he know to go straight to the bridge? Curious, but I don't think I can point out this fact in here. But oh gosh, who did find pearls first? I'm trying to remember what happened when we heard the bridge was fixed. I want to say... the bridge was fixed. Gumshoe came back to the main hall to report that fact. Edgeworth and quote-unquote Iris... the real Iris. The real Iris went to the bridge, but an earthquake happened. Edgeworth passed out. Iris fled across. The swap between Iris and Maya channeling Dahlia occurred. And then Phoenix dashed over straight away to find Dahlia posing as Iris at the locks, and there were 5 of them now. Where was Pearls at that time? I feel like the time we saw Pearls, she was at the Golden Hall, or Golden Palace, or whatever it is, Larry's shack. I feel like that's where we first saw her, but I don't know, forget. He cheered her up?
That's what Pearlie said. She was a very nice older gentleman.
Oh,
She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was, thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves, in more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-toothed combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way, Godot style.
I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way, judge style. You really just don't have a name, do you?
Maybe I should ask some questions Phoenix style. I feel like Godot cheering Pearls up, he could have said specific things to her to plant ideas in her mind. But on the other hand, if we get Godot to ask about his investigation process, we could point out, hey buddy, if this was your first time here, how would you know about X, you know? Let's go with this first. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Wright. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Miss Dufay, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western taste? Could you find a stranger way to describe gravy?
So from there, you headed for the prep room.
Wait, yes! I remembered it just as Phoenix did! If that's his first time there, how did he know who was on the scroll? How did he know who was on the scroll? Yeah! Wait a sec. What did Godot just say just now? I think he just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Dunim. Do we go for the poster right here? Do we go for the poster right here? I want to say we do. This evidence contradicts what Godot just said. Man, we're not just cross-examining Maya, we're cross-examining Godot as well. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the poster. The scroll.
Objection!
Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the inner temple was long before the murder took place. Oh, why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll?
But Mr. Godot was right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this.
What's this wonderfully delicious smell?
Would gravy that's just been splattered on a scroll and just left there for like 3 days really smell that good?
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Fey. Wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top there's a crest there. I thought they'd bring this up. Ah, that. It's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark, you could guess that... Oh, then you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Fey on there. True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Oh. Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Wright? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene. Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh? What did you just say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan? A letter from Morgan, maybe? Oh god. I am at a loss here, What if it's asking me who to talk about? The profile's not evidence, Orders from Morgan Fay opened once before. That's right, didn't Pearl say that when she got the letter it had been opened once before? Didn't she say that? I forget completely, but didn't she say that? My god, I even talked about this. Wouldn't someone read the letter sent by an inmate from prison? I want to say it's a burnt letter. I want to say it's a burnt letter. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a letter. It was opened once before. Some unknown person read this. Right? Take that! This crime was actually planned over a year ago. I'm glad I got it. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple. And you still insist this crafty killer is me? You bet I do. But you just said that instructions were hidden. That's right. Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center? Yes. It could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot. Order! 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 Mr. Godot, you're under fire again. This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the Inner Temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness. That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life. His behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? I knew it. Maya knew it. Maya, I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh? Because of Mia. Okay, Tried, I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. What's this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. It's Mia. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney? With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot, his real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court. The tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney at the office where Mia worked. It's my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself. Mia, you can't cry yet. Black and white. I can't even see his blood. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. Oh, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned. Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down, and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. That's terrible. Apparently, it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee. Wow, that's actually kind of sad. 5 years? You were asleep for 5 years. And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered, and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed? The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. For someone like me, for someone who had slept away their best days, There are only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was you, Wright.
Huh? Me?
If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault.
It wasn't like that.
I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were.
So that's why you became a prosecutor.
My other reason for living, she goes by the name of Maya Fey.
Huh? You mean me?
You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Crane Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her.
Have you ever heard Pearls' visit with Morgan at the detention center?
I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it.
That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices.
Accomplices?
Iris of Hazakar Temple and Misty Fey. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Fey.
But how did you contact my mother? She had been missing for almost 20 years.
Officially, yes.
What? What do you mean officially?
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government.
Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. There's a Fae behind all leaders. She's at the Master of Creative Grid Authority.
Even without her official position, Misty Fey still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
So my mother was cooperating with you.
Don't ever forget. No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She was always...
That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff.
Her staff? The one with the sword in it.
The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fey if necessary. Yes, even it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother...
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
You mean Pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan. But she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What? What do you mean? If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Karain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to. What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple, just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne. Godot. Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to. Trite. Huh? There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense attorney. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot. I see what Godot's doing. Godot went to all that trouble to protect Maya Faye. He took Misty Faye's life to protect Maya at all costs. So why now is he putting this position upon Phoenix's shoulders to prove Maya's innocence, when it would be all too easy for Godot, at the most extreme cost of all, to say he did it? It's because he's learned to trust in Phoenix. He knows he can do this. Huh. Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own. No, Nick. Please don't. Maya. I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia, and me too. Maya, I know that. Nick? But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify. Miss Faye, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick. All right, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? Bring it. Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights. 3 of them. Thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood.
She wasn't dead, though. And she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out, and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. And after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness.
These red lights? I thought you said you don't remember seeing them.
I'm sorry. I thought I saw them. Then they disappeared all of a sudden.
Ha! Things break, Trite. Even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Misty Faye? It looks like you still can't prove it. Maya is telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me. Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness. If Maya's telling the truth, and nothing but the truth, then we need to get her to talk as much as possible so we can find a contradiction. Because she's being incorrect about something. She's speaking the truth about what she perceived, but it may not be what truly happened. And for that matter, there's still the mystery of the dagger. Whose blood is on the dagger? And who held it? Lights shining in the dark. I don't think you could make a mistake about that.
Yeah, you're right. I think I saw them, but I can't say for certain. And I can't tell you for sure they were from Mr. Godot's mask either.
I don't get the feeling she's covering for him anymore, but press harder. Just after that, you turned towards the lights and called for help. Isn't that because you thought the lights were coming from Mr. Godot's mask?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's what I was thinking at the time, but I can't remember, after all. There was a person I couldn't identify in front of me.
Person you can't identify, but then you say it was Dahlia. Maya's life was in terrible danger at the time. There's no way she can remember the details of the scene perfectly. Alright then, let's go on with the testimony. What did you do when you saw the red lights?
I thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood.
That blood? Was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood?
I think so, probably. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by. It was a woman's voice.
So that was when the killer stabbed the victim from behind with a murder weapon. Is that right? Without a doubt, Maya was in the middle of a really dangerous situation. Anyway, the victim was stabbed with a murder weapon. What happened after that?
She wasn't dead, though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her.
Struck back? How do you know that?
Well, you're right, I didn't see it exactly, but I could tell by the sound of the breathing and movement, and also the smell of blood.
You have witnessed more horror than any young lady should ever have to see in one life. So then, what did you do at that point?
I couldn't move. Just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark, but I had no idea what to do.
Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier?
Yes, I think so. But suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark.
They went out?
Yes, suddenly I couldn't see them at all.
Well, what could it mean? The red lights were coming from Godot's mask, and they went out right in the middle of a fight.
Maybe the mask was damaged.
Or maybe it was knocked off. Or maybe The batteries ran out. Right? Or maybe those little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working. What could have really happened then? At that moment there was a horrible scream. Was that a woman's scream or a man's scream? What did you mean by just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the red lights went out?
Yes, that's right.
The scream that you heard then, was it Dahlia Hawthorne?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice.
I know how to solve this. I know how to solve this. Godot was hit in the mask or the head. The mask broke, and Godot screamed in pain because of it. The flesh beneath his mask was wounded. He was perhaps cut by broken glass or metal. If Godot takes off his mask, and he doesn't have any wounds on his face, well, then we'd know. What? So then, that scream came from the killer. That's got to be it.
I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken the blade and attacked the killer with it.
And then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh?
After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess.
No, there's just one sword wound on the body. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems to make sense to me. It sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. If Godot's mask stopped working, he would be rendered blind. He needs that mask to see, period. It's not just a matter of not seeing red with it. It's how he sees. How could he possibly counterattack? There's a contradiction here. I'm sorry to say this. That interpretation would create an enormous contradiction. That makes sense. After all, my deductions are almost certainly never correct. Well, at least he knows. Remember the testimony she just gave? Before the killer let out a scream, Maya said she had already been splattered by the victim's blood. Oh, yes. In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim.
Ah, is that right?
She couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body. The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream must have been something other than the staff. If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, Trite. There's only one thing I can think of. Could have been used as the weapon here. If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could she have used to strike back at the killer? The dagger, of course.
Take that!
Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. This dagger was found at the crime scene, stuck into a pine tree. Yes, a detective found that this morning and brought it to me. Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this. And she managed to wound him as well.
Objection!
Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean that he was wounded. For all we know, the blood on the dagger could have been from the victim.
Objection!
Have you forgotten that the blood has already been tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must be the killer's blood. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body. Oh man. Am I the only one getting Manfred von Karma vibes? Holy crap. So you're saying the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer? Exactly. A DNA test analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And yes, Mr. Godot, it would prove that it's your blood. Nice theory, Wright. Order. Order in the court. Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test. Huh. Let me ask you something, Wright. Let's just say that it turned out that I was the killer. Do you really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that? What? Just think for a second. This dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought to me. There was already blood on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom. Yes. What does that prove? Well, if I really were the killer, I could have washed the blade off and then planted another person's blood on it. That can't be. In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, Wright. That blood, it doesn't belong to me. Not a chance.
What?
In any event, it seems to be established that the killer was wounded. Alright then, witness, continue your
Oh, wait a minute.
What's the problem?
I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation.
Maya?
This dagger. You said that it wounded the killer.
That's right.
But if Mr. Godot had really been cut with a dagger, his clothes should be bloody or have a rip in them, right?
Maya? Maybe he just changed his clothes. That would solve the contradiction pretty easily.
What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder. Everyone that was on the inner temple side got trapped there.
Oh, that's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the inner temple,
Mr. Godot was already there waiting for them. He never had a chance to change his clothes.
Order. Order in the court.
Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him.
But no one could have predicted the lightning strike that shut down the bridge. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes? Did the judge just take smart pills during the last recess? Well then, maybe the killer took off his clothes before he committed the murder. That way he wouldn't get any blood on them.
Objection!
That's impossible, Wright. You know how cold it gets up there late at night? After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid. Ha! So that's all you've got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Irk. Right now, if Mia Fey were here... If Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already. If Mia Fey were here... So come on, Wright. Can you do it or not? How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Godot of being the killer. But can you prove it? Have you got even one piece of evidence? The question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. That's the only choice I have. I was taught that it's one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you want it.
It's the corner theme from the first game. Oh! Oh, they brought it back! Oh, this is so good.
Ha! That's good. A fighter to the bitter end, Trite. Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the unlimited penalty? Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Godot? Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence that I need. Give me a break. You've got nothing, Trite. So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I've got to think outside the box and approach this from a different angle. Alright then, Mr. Trite. Mr. Wright. Sorry. Alright then, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you've got. There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger. But we decided it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a bloodstain on his clothing. There's one place. One place the killer could have hidden his wound. What did you say?
Hidden?
This is it. My last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I don't need to think about why there were no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound. It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you've got. Where's this location where you say the killer hid his wound? Is it really as I said right away? Is it under his mask? But if I just bring up Godot's profile, that would be so vague. Why would any of this evidence possibly be the answer? None of it is related to Godot, to the real killer. How could any of these objects help hide a wound? Well, that's a headshot profile. Do I just say it's under his mask? If I get this wrong, I'm never gonna let myself live this down. All this hype, all this expectation. This better be it. Ha! I don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, I don't need to know. What I do know is that you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right,
Wright? Oh, what was that just now? Mia? It can't be. You're living on through him?
Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. It's beneath your mask. I love this game. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Godot, would you mind removing your mask? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved.
Just now, I saw her spirit in you. I never liked you. 6 years ago, you helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her bottle of poison. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die. But you didn't care. You just kept living your pathetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer. I could never forgive you. That's what I thought. Mr. Godot? But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. The truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive was me.
You, yourself?
I was the one that failed to protect Mia. Me and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth, to escape from the harshness of reality. I just couldn't face Mia's death head on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. I couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit.
But you saved Maya.
Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway. What do you mean? Are you listening, Maya? If I had really wanted to save you, there's one person that I should have gone and talked to right away. Who would that be? Are you talking about Nick? But I didn't do it. I tried to get the help of Iris and your mother. But I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. Do you know why? The real reason? No. Why? I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all. Huh? I think I was just trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Forgive me.
You're wrong. You put your life on the line to save Maya.
Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure.
What do you mean by that?
That night, in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette,
part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing there in front of me. It could have been Misty Faye, or even that little girl. But I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated with a pure desire to protect Maya Fey? Or was it something else? Was it my hatred for a woman who had stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could it have been simply a desire for revenge? And now, I don't know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. I finally realized that I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion, a fantasy. A stupid fantasy of defeating you in the courtroom. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Instead, you picked up where she left off as a true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything. Mr. Godot. I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando.
Mr. Armando, I believe in you. I know you were trying to save me.
What? Thanks. A lawyer doesn't cry until it's all over. Your wound, it's bleeding. Did you forget already? In my world, the color red doesn't exist. These must be my tears. Tears? Ever since I woke up from my coma, I've been waiting for this very moment.
Mr. Armando?
He better not have. Oh no. This isn't going like I think it is it? You do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. This time, it really is all over, isn't it? Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Although you weren't directly involved in the murder, tampering with the body in the crime scene is a serious offense in itself. Okay, for a moment there I thought Godot poisoned his own coffee and he was killing himself. But I don't think that's what happened.
I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained that to me very carefully. I knew the risk, and I willingly cooperated anyway.
Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, there is one thing. I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright. I want to apologize to you.
Apologize? To me? For what?
For the case 5 years ago, of course.
I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover?
Not exactly, but yeah, something like that. He ate the locket. Even now, 5 years later, I can hardly believe it. She was going to do it. She was planning to kill me.
It's not all that surprising. The two of you hardly knew each other.
Huh? What do you mean?
You and my sister. You only met twice.
No freaking way.
Huh? Oh, we only met twice?
The first time you met was on that fateful day. The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria of this very courthouse. The next time you met her was 8 months later. You met her again on the day that she stole your cold medicine. And Doug Swallow was killed.
No way, it can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship, we were...
For those 8 months, the woman that you thought Dahlia Hawthorne wasn't actually my sister.
It wasn't Dahlia?
I hope one day you can forgive me, Feeny.
Bruh.
You mean...
That's right. I lied to you for 8 months.
But why? Why would you do such a thing?
Ever since she gave you the bottle that day, my sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance, she couldn't move about freely.
So that's why you...
My sister, from the beginning, she was prepared for the worst.
But prepared for the worst?
She thought that you might somehow discover the truth. That's why she was always ready to deal with you at a moment's notice.
You mean she was ready to kill me, don't you?
She already had so much to answer for, I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance.
And that's why you came to me. You came to get the bottle pendant back from me in her place.
But I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that. 8 months passed and I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. She didn't consult me about her plans for you that day. It was the first time that had ever happened.
It was a bit strange, wasn't it? Until that day, you two were partners in crime, and she would confer with you.
I think she must have noticed.
Noticed what?
My feelings for you. If I had found out she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her. If it meant her life, or mine.
Iris?
After spending those 8 months by your side, my feelings towards you, they changed.
I have something to say to you too.
Yes?
You really are the person I always thought you were. And after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you.
Wow, this must have made the Phoenix Maya shippers very mad. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Edgeworth shippers were already like, yeah, whatever, okay. They're already used to it.
Thank you.
How many cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. His name's back in the dialogue box. No more masks. I'll tell you though. Right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had. Don't you think so, Phoenix Wright? Yeah, I think you're right. The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim, Elise Tunin. At some point, I expect you will be tried for your role as an accomplice in this case.
I understand, Your Honor.
Very well. On the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant not guilty. Court is now adjourned. It's over. So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended. Was justice really served? The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hand. Of course justice was served. Mia? I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant. But I couldn't save Mr. Armando, the man who cared so deeply for you. You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You saved him in the only way possible. You mean, with that verdict? I think one day you'll understand too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there today as any defense attorney could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me. Mia! You've accomplished something I wasn't able to. I owe you a great deal. Thank you. Mia. I'm sure we'll meet again. Someday, Phoenix. I've handled lots of cases and seen a lot of things. Along this journey, I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer.
Nick,
Maya.
I guess it's just like my sis said.
Mia? What did she say?
That night, when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do, this is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry. Phoenix will save everyone in the end.
But...
Come on, cut it out with that gloomy face. Can't you see? Me, sis, and I'm sure Iris too. We owe you for everything you have done for us, Nick.
Maya... How? How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? You were brutally attacked. You even saw your mother murdered. Ouch! Franziska?
Still as softy as always, Phoenix Wright.
Excellent work, Wright.
Huh? Mr. Edgeworth? When did you get back?
Oh, that's right. Guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Franziska have actually been helping me.
Helping helping you?
If these two hadn't been here on the first day of the trial, the defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Wow. But where were you, Nick? I heard he fell into a river and caught a nasty cold which forced him to sleep all day.
Yes, he laid in bed shivering with his fever with Iris's hood pulled over his head.
Oh, ouch! Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And you too, Franziska?
I don't suppose... Shut up, Larry!
God!
I don't suppose that there's room for me in this group hug, is there?
Oh, Larry!
What's with the, longer than usual face? I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never any use to anyone. Not even once.
But that's not true. Right, Nick?
What? You're asking me?
Well, Nick,
Is it true? I've got a place in this world, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I were gone for good.
No, oh yeah, those portraits you painted, they were really good. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
What? Me? Why are you making that face, huh, Edgy? Oh, well, yes, indeed. I certainly can't say that. They lack resemblance. Resemblance. What a backhanded compliment.
Do you really mean it? What about you, Franzi? Did I draw you well, too? Ah! My beauty can't possibly be captured by a mere crayon. Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something. So then you'll do it? Like you promised? You're gonna model for my next picture book, Franzi's Whippy Whip Trip? Don't get carried away.
Well, how about that? I was painting portraits. I guess painting portraits is the only thing I'm good at. The painting of Pearl was pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Pearls? Where could she have gone? Normally she would have made a beeline for Maya.
Oh, I'll go look for her. Be right back. Hey, Pearly!
Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you are wondering how Maya can be so cheerful despite all that has happened. Yeah.
To be honest, I can't understand it either.
Franziska. That's right. She lost her father fairly recently as well. I think I understand how she feels. Maya is a much wiser person than she appears, and I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can.
What do you mean by, now is exactly the time?
Maya wasn't the only one that was badly wounded by this incident. In fact, there was someone that was hurt far more deeply than she. I believe it's for that person that Maya is trying her best not to cry. Someone who was hurt more deeply than Maya. Edgeworth, I think I'm starting to understand too.
Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix Wright, who is Maya Fey being strong for?
Pearls.
Take that! Pearl Fey.
Poor kid. After all, the reason that she worked so hard to follow the instructions is Because she loved and believed in her mother, Morgan. It's for the good of the Fae clan. I'm sure she believed in every last word. She thought she was doing it for Maya. That's why she was so happy. It shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. But it's a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Maya Faye's mother was killed, and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. And that's exactly why Maya is putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearl's sake, until she can see her smile again.
Oh, hey! So this is where you all were. Wow, looks like we got quite the bunch of— Ow! What was that for, sir?
Sorry about that, Scruffy. My whip just seems to have a mind of its own.
What's up, Detective Gumshoe?
Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. You can't afford this. My salary's just sort of kind of gone down by a teeny weeny bit, but it's alright. I made reservations at a first-class French restaurant tonight. Oh no. Oh no.
Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip was your reward.
Detective Gumshoe? You said a first-class French restaurant. You don't mean... Trevion, where else? You knew it. We're doomed. Come on, let's go, everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Hey! Oh. Hey, you, crybaby. You're invited too. Oh, forget about me. Pearl and I will be at the loser shack eating potatoes.
You know, Maya is taking an awfully long time to get back. She's still out looking for pearls. Oh, Maya. What's wrong?
Nick? What do I do? Pearlie, I can't find her anywhere.
Huh?
I'll bet she just went back home. That's all.
I thought so too, so I called the village. But no one has heard from her. This has never happened before.
As I figured, she has been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that has befallen you, Maya.
But none of this was her fault. What should I do?
Detective Gumshoe.
Yeah? What is it, pal?
Could you guys go on ahead?
But what about you?
Maya and I will... We'll join you guys once we find pearls.
Nick.
Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, but you're... Ha!
Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead.
Don't keep us rating, Wright.
We won't.
But where should we look? Where could Pearlie have gone?
Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of that pearls might have gone to.
The office?
Oh.
Hazakura Temple.
For pearls, I bet this is a very important place. After all, it's where this whole incident started.
What's this? You're all back again so soon? Sister Bikini? I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here? Pearlie is here? She's in the training hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay. Pearlie's not here.
The scroll is cleaned.
Ah, Maya, the hanging scroll.
Oh. Someone cleaned it off.
It's got to be Pearls.
Ah! Mystic Maya! Pearly! Why? Why did you just leave like that?
Mystic Maya! Mystic Maya!
Aww.
I swore that I would never trouble the two of you ever again. Because it's all my fault that Mystic Maya's mother.
That's why you came here?
It's the least I could do to pray for your happiness.
You don't have to do that, Pearly.
It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course I'm sad that my mother is gone, but how do I say this? I'm still happy. But you don't have to lie just to make me feel better.
No, really. It's true.
The only reason I'm still here at all is thanks to everyone who was there for me. My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick, and you. If even one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't still be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. Mystic Maya. I'm impressed. You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty. Sister Bikini, your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell you what she said to me that night. After dishonoring the good name of Karain, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya is always in my thoughts. It's true. She'll always be with me until the day I die. Your spirit was with her. That's why your mother was so strong. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets.
She'll always be with me until the day I die, huh? There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? Never take the charm off until the day you die.
That's the master's talisman.
The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important, rather, it was the contents.
That's a photo? Ah. Mother.
It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. What makes us human is that we fight for others. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true measure of what human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who are constantly challenged by that question. Oh, priceless. Wow. Even when battle is over and the bonds that connects us are severed, we always return, time and time again. Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, Maya's mother too. I learned that from all of them. Well, shall we get going? Everyone is waiting.
Oh.
This is a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate what we've overcome today.
But I still can't.
Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime.
Huh? Okay. All right. I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training, I promise. I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for 3 for when you come back. All right. We're going to have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training is a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya, I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight.
There's one thing I don't get. I probably don't want to, but...
What is it, Nick?
Reservations for training is fine and all, but why for 3?
Come on, what do you think? You're one of us, Nick. Next time you can train right alongside us. Huh? I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you. Huh? Huh? It'll be great, Nick. We're going to do special course naturally. Huh? What? That's a great idea. After all, Mr. Nick, you'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right? We'll have a nice big meal before we come next time, right, Nick?
I was wondering if I can say just one little thing.
Sure, of course you can. Oh, I love this part. I can't wait to hear it.
I am getting goosebumps too. Well then, here goes nothing.
Objection!
This was my favorite case in the whole trilogy, and it's not even close.
I'll really have to work extra hard. Master Crane and the office manager at Wright and Co. offices. You have to be a good big sister Pearly and Nick too. Well, as long as I'm not locked up or captured or something like that.
What a splendid end to these characters. I can, well...
So it's true. Mr. Nick really is Mystic Maya's knight in shining armor. He went through with a special course all the way to the end. Actually, I heard there's a legendary extra special ultra course here too. I think I'll surprise the 2 of them by making them a secret reservation.
I can totally see why they did a soft reboot, and why a new protagonist was followed for the next few games. Maggie bought me on brand new coat as a present, pal. I feel 10 years younger. I'll never take it off.
Yes, but somehow you just don't seem the same. I guess a dirty, shabby old overcoat is more detective-like, sir.
Don't worry about it. In the name of love, a man will soil himself silly. What? Also, that's his coat from the flashbacks. He does feel 10 years younger.
Mr. Wright, I'm once again in your debt. Thanks to you, the Treasures of Crane exhibit was a great success. Even got to see Miss Von Karma, who I hadn't seen for almost a year. She taught me how to use a whip and said that I must show you what I've learned.
Please no. Desi and I started a company called Mask to Mask Consulting.
We've dedicated to stopping the evil plans of all the criminals in the city.
Our motto is, cut it out, please.
Pretty cute, huh?
Well, we also sell plans to the criminals as a kind of side business. I wonder if that's okay. Sometimes I think maybe we're the worst criminals. What the hell? Are you serious?
I wanted to show my appreciation to Mr. Wright for exterminating Don Tiger. So I lent him $500,000 and a tea set. A special thick tea, one I mixed with my own 2 hands. I bet he's drinking it now. Win through compromise.
What? Oh boy. Huh.
I'm just old and in the way. A wrinkly, grumpy, clown-nosed waste of flesh. At least that's what I thought.
but my grandkids had a birthday party for me the other day. Talk about embarrassing. 69 years old and I cried like a baby with a dirty diaper. Nice. A man will soil himself silly or something like that.
As usual, we have an abundance of work to do. We've hired a new programmer to replace Glenn Elg. I do hope everyone will get along. His name is Adamada. As soon as I have heard his name, I knew our brain circuits would align perfectly.
Adamada? Adamada. Automata? I don't get it.
My. More reporters? Since the murder, we've made so much money, I hardly know what to do. I think the magazines like us because I provide such a nice visual, especially in spring. I can hardly wait for Iris to come back.
I'm glad we're seeing where all these characters ended up. Wonder who that is.
You've turned into such a respectable man, Feeny. It was so sweet of you and everyone else to come and visit me here the other day. Of course, I was happy that you constantly had your eyes on me, but I felt kind of bad when the little one slapped you so hard you got a nosebleed.
Ha!
Objection!
Ben Groman Judd. Ben Judd.
Objection!
His name is King! Oh, that's perfect. Love it.
Objection! Objection!
James C. Wilson. I wonder if these people have done any other voice work, like in general. Forgot about that. David Crislip. Oh no. What's this? I'm back from a long and tiring vacation. No one here is to greet me. I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit, and now I've got no one. And what kind of lonely, crazy security room is this supposed to be anyway? What's with all the flashing lights and switches? I feel like some sort of space alien. Now what am I going to do with all these macadamia nuts I brought? If I bring them off to Betty Point, as I say, I really can't accept these. I'm afraid of something just a very fragile heart. Oh, but I'm with a front woman who treat me like a fine lady. Ugh. 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 Okay, I'm good. I finally found something I love to do. Franzie's Whippity Whip trip. It's gonna turn the art world on its head. Should have realized that sooner. Self-centered, lazy, antisocial. I'm an artist. Really good portrait artist. I'm not a loser after all. I'm glad Larry actually did find a calling. Oh yeah, he's a good artist. My god, did Edgeworth actually pose with a smile? Nice. Well done, Capcom. Well done. Bra freaking vo. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, it's done. It's over. The Phoenix Wright Trilogy has ended. So it's as I said. That final case there, it is without a doubt my favorite case in the entire trilogy, and it isn't even close. The Von Karma case was great. The, what was his name? Matt Ongard case was also spectacular, but that last case there was just on another level, and it's because the entire game was written around it. like, as good as everything else was, that last case there just stands on a whole nother level, I think. It was unspeakably good. Every other case in that game, in Trials and Tribulations, led up to it, and every single line of dialogue in the case itself mattered. Every event, every conversation, every factor was just so brilliantly constructed. Like, I can't even fathom how they even went about writing such a thing. It was just transcendental. I loved it. What more is there to say? I think it was a spectacular finale. And as I said, I can 100% see now how the baton was passed to Apollo. Man, let's take a quick look back at everything we've done. So, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game. Episode 1, the first turnabout. This was an amazing introduction, I think. It really worked very well. You were shown right away who the real murderer was. And between... what's that? Mr. Payne, Winston Payne. Yeah, between Winston Payne, Larry Butts, and Frank Sahit, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. A really great way to get to ropes with what this game expects of you. Made it very easy to understand, and moreover, it was just very fun to see Mr. Sahit squirm. Very good case. And of course, it introduced Larry, who is the butt of all jokes. And man, this one... This really is the foundation that the entire rest of the franchise blossomed from, huh? Like, as much as Phoenix feels like a main character, honestly, sometimes it feels like Maya is more of a main character than him. Honestly, it does. Mia Fey dying in the pursuit of justice really solidified her as someone who was very valorous and would do the right thing no matter what. And I gotta say, I love the running gag that came about because looking out the office window and seeing the evolution of the hotel. My goodness. And of course, Red White, what was his name? Red White of Blue Corp? Yeah. Kind of forgettable as a villain, but his design less so. Very, very gaudy, suitably, and there was also April May. She was extremely satisfying to take down. Oh my gosh. I still think that one line where Phoenix celebrated in his head of trying to say, yes, got her, that was still the most I'd ever laughed in this entire trilogy. I want to say that. And there's Turnabout Samurai. I love the Steel Samurai. I love the theme song. I love how obsessed Maya is with it. It just struck all the right chords with me. Everything else about this case, though... I mean, there was some cool stuff with Dee Vasquez and her mob connections, though I think that kind of bit me back in the butt, because I liked it so much that I was dead certain that... Furio Tiger was somehow connected to Dee Vasquez, I think. Will Powers, he was a great character. I love that gentle giant sort of motif. Character trope, yeah, I like that. Then there's Salmonella. Less said. I'm not even going to say a single thing about him. Cody Hackins? Yeah, I guess he was fun. Penny Nichols? She, had no personality. I can't remember a single thing about her. I guess that's her shtick, though, right? She's just a plain, normal girl. I mean, in this whole cast of these ridiculous characters, I mean, look at everything that's going on in this image. What is Penny Nichols compared to that? And then there's Old Beg. She was very, very fun in her first case. And I feel like, I think I said this before actually, if this was the only case Wendy Oldbeg was ever in, I would think of her much more fondly. Like, yeah, she's very memorable. But she came back a lot. And then, oh baby, Turnabout Goodbyes. Ooh. Ooh. Now, if the April-May situation was the most I ever laughed, this case gave me the most satisfying moment when I realized the numbers that Polly was squawking wasn't a date, but the combination to the safe or the case or whatever, the suitcase. Yeah, that was the most satisfying moment for me. I was hyped. And man, I just love how the reveal was played. And with the metal detector, using the metal detector on Von Karma's arm. And of course, there's a lot of heart. Well, she had a lot of heart. She's a very fun character. I like her photography, and honestly, her kind of role across the series was to make wild assumptions and go all in on them on testimonies. It was kind of annoying. Like, lady, have some perspective. You're jumping to conclusions when people's lives are on the line. And I guess I should talk about Edgeworth himself. Yeah, for the first few cases, Edgeworth was totally presented as a massive asshole. Low-down, dirty, scummy, honorless dude who would just do anything. But when the full truth was revealed about his motivations and his relations in the past with Von Karma, yeah, no. Poor Edgeworth, man. Haunted by what happened to his father, thinking maybe he was responsible, but no. Manfred von Karma turned out to be a truly despicable villain. I loved how oppressive von Karma felt. He wore his reputation as armor, just bulldozing over everyone. Like, more than any other character in this series, I think Manfred von Karma had the most presence. If that makes sense. Whenever he was encountered, like in the records room, when he tased Phoenix, I was like, oh crap! And then there's Case 5, Rise from the Ashes. Now, apparently, these characters are gonna show up in the Apollo trilogy, I think? I mean, I can't wait to see them. Honestly, Emma Skye she's pretty much Maya Fey 2.0, except you swap the spiritual stuff for sciencey stuff. Like, they even have the same face. I guess the white, rose-tinted glasses are kind of eye-catching. Yeah, this case, this was as long as the rest of the first game combined. I'm not even kidding. Like, you go count the episodes we had for the first game, and can see that this is half the duration of the first game. I will say it was extremely satisfying to use Damon Gantz's his own methods against him. We took him down by the book, if you remember how that went. And of course we had some horrifying Blue Badger shenanigans, the organ, the silhouettes, and I did like the backstory crafted with the old prosecutor team, and how all those people were connected to each other. Yeah, it goes to show that they really can make very compelling connections between characters from nothing. Like, this fourth case had a lot of build-up to it. But everything was brand new, and they still made it work. It just took a very long time. The first game was excellent. That brings us to Justice for All. Yeah, this first part, the Lost Turnabout with Maggie Bird and, man, what was that guy with the blue jacket and the yellow striped hair? I completely forget him. This is probably the most forgettable case. I don't remember a single thing that happened besides the fall in the park and hot dogs. I do like Maggie. Maggie's fun. She's kind of like... I do like how she interacted with Gumshoe and how she gave Gumshoe more agency, and vice versa. They played off each other very well. And I guess at the end of the 5th case there that we just completed, we saw Maggie gave Gumshoe a new coat, so maybe the implication is that they are getting together. That'd be nice. Reunion and Turnabout. Oh, baby. I think we got the introduction of Pearl Fay here, and yeah, she's a great addition. She brought a lot, even though most villains ended up just using her, or she gave bad testimony, mostly. But still, for how much Pearl maybe got in our way of trying to solve cases, she never really felt annoying, like most kid characters in fiction and media do. Yeah, Pearl's was sweet. Pearl's was nice. I love how much she loved Maya and vice versa. And, this case gave us lovable characters like Eenie Meenie and Dr. Hottie. Very fun stuff all around, and I did like that they brought in a bigger focus on the Faye family. We learned about the Side family, the side branch, and it's from this that the 3rd game really blossomed from, right? Like the second case in the first game was the foundation. This case here, though, was the roots. And then the 3rd game made the tree blossom. It came round circle. Turnabout Big Top. I loved the characters. I think this case had my favorite group of characters. I loved Mo the Clown. I loved Woodman, even though he was kind of creepy. Regina, he was okay. She was okay, I guess. Kind of a tragic figure for how out of it she seemed. She was very naive and very sheltered. Acro was very fun. I liked Acro. He was a cool character. I liked him. I'm still kind of salty about the whole bust situation. I think that's the one big failure in the writing of this case. It's just too weird. It's too weird. Like, you would think, in writing a Phoenix Wright story, you would begin with the circumstances of a murder. It's like, the exact circumstances of the murder is everything to the case. It's what the player will spend all their time unraveling. So why would you make it so weird? With the strings and the bust and the convenient cloak. How? Why? And then there's Farewell My Turnabout. This was another very long case. I loved Shelley D. Killer. I loved the reveal of Matt on guard. I loved the twist that for once your defendant was actually guilty, and more than that, he was blackmailing you by holding Maya hostage. Well, or having Shelley the Killer hold him hostage. I do feel, looking back on it, that maybe this case was a bit bloated. I feel like it could have been condensed a bit. I loved how Will Powers returned, maybe less so Old Bag. And of course, there is someone we should talk about. We should talk about Miles Edgeworth and Franziska von Karma. I loved the surprising reveal that the new prosecutor of this second game was Manfred von Karma's relative. And I, of course, made the assumption that she was here to get revenge on Phoenix for what she did to Manfred. For what he did to Manfred. But no, in reality, it's what Phoenix did to Miles. Even though Franziska is much younger than Edgeworth, she considers herself Edgeworth's big sister. And so their close bond was the catalyst for Franziska's motivations in channeling Phoenix. Not channeling, challenging Phoenix. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me. And of course, Edgeworth came back for this case too to help. What a godsend he was. Yeah, this was a very good case, and finally, I want to say that putting the nail in the coffin for Matt Engarde was the most satisfying defeat, the most satisfying victory that we experienced. And then there's the third game, and boy, what a game this was. Well, first we had Mia Fey back from the dead in a flashback. It was very fun to see a young Phoenix. Very surprising that so much it would be introduced about this Diego Armando and Mia's past, and we knew so much about Mia's past, how she chased after Misty Fey, became a lawyer because of Misty, and how she was an apprentice to Grossberg. It was surprising to learn about all this new stuff with Diego Armando and the young Phoenix and this Dahlia Hawthorne. It was like, what are they setting up here? What is the purpose of this? What does this serve? But still, yeah, this is probably my favorite first case in this series. Hard not to have my first favorite, my number one favorite. Oh, God. I love Luke Atme. I think Luke Atme is the most fun I ever had voicing a character. It was just... I loved the voice I chose for him. It was so fun to talk, just to talk in that voice. And Ron and Desiree Delight, they were delights. I love them. And of course, they brought in more tie-ins with the exhibit, with Adrian Andrews, Samus Aran, running the exhibit of Fae artifacts. Brought that into it. And of course, it introduced Godot. I don't think we learned anything about Godot in this first case, except for the fact that he was really cool looking. Yeah, he kind of coasted for a while there on how his cool factor. Yeah, he's cool. Look at him. He's so sexy. Admit it. Recipe for a turnabout. I liked Trevion. I liked Mr. Armstrong. The whole Zin Eop situation, that was extremely amusing. I love it when doppelgangers are treated humorously. The freaking paper badge, and just the thought of Furio Tiger just entering court and just doing his Furio Tiger things. Oh, it brings me joy. Yeah, I think I like that half of the case more than the whole MC Bomber, Glenn Elg half of it. Though I do think the stuff involving the Cadaverini family, I don't think anything quite came of that. I thought there would be more significance for Phoenix pissing off the mob than there ended up being, but oh well. We have case 4. It's Mia Fey's first ever case, and once again it brought Dahlia back into the fold. Yeah, man, that Terry Falls ending up killing himself right there in court was so shocking and so tragic, and it really cemented how awful a person Dahlia was. And I like that we saw this after Mia's second case, which also involved Dahlia Hawthorne. Like, it let the player come to the realization that Mia's going to fail here, Dahlia's going to get away scot-free. And this is why Mia hated Dahlia so much in that first case. Well, our first case, her second, you know what I mean. And of course it was Edgeworth's first case too. Look at that colorful jacket. Yeah, it was great to see the start where it all began. Oh god, I just realized. I had this huge-ass theory that Dahlia Hawthorne was naturally had black hair and just dyed it red. I guess I was wrong, huh? Oh well. And of course, here's the case we just finished. Chef's kiss. It's a spicy meatball. It's my favorite. It finally brought in Misty Faye, who we heard about right at the start of the first game. And it was satisfying. They brought everything together. They introduced so many new things in this game, then brought all those together with the things previously established, with Morgan Faye and the Faye family and everything, and they just made it work so well. It's just unbelievable. I am in awe of the writing that went into this case. It all felt so tangible and believable, and everything just made so much sense, even when I was really stuck a few times. There's not a single thing that stands out to me as being too weird, too unbelievable. Well, except maybe the body being swung on the pendulum conveniently coming loose to land on the other side, but that's small potatoes. Like the potatoes the people eat in the loser's shack. Phoenix Wright himself. It would be easy to say he's nothing more than a conduit for which the reader lives through in this story, but I don't think that's the case at all. Phoenix is very much his own character. There is a lot going on in his head at any given time, and we're rarely privy to any of it. Phoenix, when he sees people from his past, it's always a mystery exactly how he's feeling. Like, it took a long time for us to understand his past with Edgeworth in the first game, even. We do get these long internal monologues at the end of cases, and sometimes here and there, and in very important parts in trials. But more or less, I definitely feel like Phoenix stands on his own. He's a good protagonist. I really liked him, and I liked voicing him. So, fellas, I think that's gonna do it. What is this, 106 parts? 107? And around 130 hours. Guys, we're here. This is the end. I need to say goodbye. For now. While I may be done with the Phoenix Wright Trilogy, I am most certainly going to return to this series one day in the future and play what's left. I've fallen in love, and I can't wait to see what they do with Apollo and Emma Skye. So what's next? Well, I recently released some poll videos that determined that this Phoenix Wright Trilogy takes up the primary time slot of my channel, and the game that will be replacing this is another visual novel. It is Fate Stay Night. Yeah. I hope you heard of that, because I'm really, really excited to get going and record that, so... We're here. It's over. Man. I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been the Phoenix Wright Trilogy. I thank you for taking this wild ride with me. And hopefully, I will catch you later when I begin a new adventure. So until then, please take care.